of Uniting Distant Stars, Stars of Tomorrow podcast. Got to think about this. This is Heather Cannon. A lot of stars. I am the co-founder and executive director, and of course, co-host of this podcast. This is number 7?
This is episode number 7.
Number
Episode
7.
number 7.
Okay.
And I am the other half, the other co-host here. My name's Kevin Na. I'm a volunteer here with Uniting Distant Stars. Grateful to be able to do this podcast with Heather. And I will say, Heather, it was fun doing the virtual tea time with everyone yesterday.
Yes, that is my favorite event because you really get to interact with young people, and we bring in new people every time, and we have some of our staff, and it's just great to have just kind of a casual conversation,
Right.
Yes. All right, well, why don't you get us started on our topic today?
Yeah. So this today I wanted us to kind of talk about that transition period between post grad and before you actually start in the workforce, or whether it's your career or a certain position. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that because at least for me and for some and most people, it's kind of a time where it's like if you don't have anything lined up, like an internship maybe or an actual job lined up after graduation, it's kind of a bit of a time when you're trying to find yourself and find a sense of direction. So just thought we'd be able to give different perspectives on that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but ready to have a full conversation on that.
All right.
Yeah, and I think I'll just start with going over my how it went on my end. So I think I might have mentioned this a few times in a few of our previous episodes. You can find them in the archives on the Uniting Distant Stars YouTube channel. So I graduated in May of 2018 from the University of Minnesota Duluth. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts. I studied cultural entrepreneurship, but also had a certificate of business administration as well to go along with that. So after graduation, I had done a few interviews of different offices, but I was still trying to find my way. Um, so I ended up talking with my sister, and she, who's an immigration lawyer, at the time she was working with a nonprofit in Silver Spring, Maryland called Clinic, so the Catholic Legal Immigration Incorporation or Network. So I ended up going to Silver Spring, Maryland for the summer, interning there, just helping them with different projects, entering in a few spreadsheets for them, working on a few lists that they create for books that they use as far as ways of fundraising around the topic of immigration through their Amazon page. So those are just a couple of things that I did for those few months in that position. It was great just being able to work with a few of my other colleagues that were, working in different areas of the of the nonprofit, whether it was the actual legal department or even marketing and things of that nature. But it was great just being able to get experience with different softwares and systems as far as record keeping goes, and just being able to network as well with some of the people in the office that worked there. So that was really, really great experience. After that summer, I came back in September of that same year. So I went out there in, I want to say June, beginning late June, and I was there until the beginning of September when I came home. So when I came home, still didn't really know where I was going or as far as a career path goes. So I had applied at a gym here in Minnesota, Planet Fitness actually, just as a way to, still be able to get some income in the meantime while, still fixing up my resume with my recent experience, especially the internship that I did, as well as applying for other jobs there. So I did that for about a year. So that was September of 2018, and I did that for about a year. But in between that time, I had been connected with a temp agency, Robert Half. I'm not sure if most people know about Robert Half, but through there, I was connected with a position at a marketing company here in Minnesota called All Over Media. So what I did in that role, I was a leasing specialist. So for example, let's say they have a campaign to advertise at gas stations. So we all know those little gas toppers with little advertisements at the top there. So let's say they had a campaign to do that. What I would do with a few other people that I worked with, we would call various locations across the country to speak with the owners of those locations to see if we'd be able to use their space to, put those ads on their gas pump toppers, and we'd, what's the word? Compensate them, for allowing us to do so. So that was my job as far as in that role. So that I started January of 2018. So I was still at Planet Fitness, but I had cut back my hours there because this was a regular 8 to 5. So it wasn't going to allow me to, be as committed to Planet Fitness while I was there. So I was in that position for about a couple months, about 2.5 months, because beginning the April of 2019 is when I started at Wells Fargo, um, with the Wells Fargo Auto Department. So from there, I had fully transitioned out of my job at Planet Fitness. So had to again scale back my hours there, just given that I'd gotten this new opportunity to focus on my development there. So that's my intro to Wells Fargo. So I was with Wells Fargo Auto as a customer service representative, answering phone. It was a call center position. We received calls for auto loans that were held by Wells Fargo. So I did that for about a year before. It was around the beginning of COVID that I started my second position within commercial banking. It was actually my intro to commercial banking, I should say, with the international connections team. So that was a bit more. It was I still answered the phone, but it was kind of a hybrid of phone and email inquiries, more with inquiries regarding international transactions. So let's say a customer comes in, wants to get wiring instructions for a wire in, let's say, euros or what other country. We'd provide that to them either by email or over the phone, or just getting them with different areas of the bank, like ordering foreign currency for upcoming trips or what have you, or even connecting them with the foreign exchange desk if they had inquiries regarding exchange rates for either incoming or outgoing wires. So I did that for about a year or so. I did that up until I'd say January of 2022, where I started in my current role as a relationship specialist. Again, still staying within commercial banking, and I've been doing that since. So uh, that time from graduating in the spring of 2018 up until now, it was a combination of a bit of I wouldn't say an odd job, but kind of like a side job before
Mhm.
actually getting into my current space. So it was a bit of a journey. Anyone who is applying for a job, it's as my mom likes to say, it's a job looking for a job. So,
Mhm.
while you're working, you're still, making sure your resume is up to date and seeing what other opportunities are out there. So, just grateful for those that helped me get the opportunities that I was able to be a part of. And yeah, that was a brief snapshot of my transition period there.
So from the internship, was that paid or unpaid?
The The one that I did after graduating?
Yeah.
It was unpaid. Yeah, it was
Okay.
unpaid. It was
So it was
unpaid.
unpaid, and from there, sounds like you had some data entry, um, some administration work, you could say, right?
Yeah, data entry administration work. Yeah, it was a good variety of both. But it definitely helped with, building skills that helped me today. Because if
Right.
you're,
'Cause that's what I'm getting into. All these little jobs you did,
yeah,
it it would give you skills that you wouldn't necessarily get at school.
right.
It's like you got into Planet Fitness, which I think you had some customer service there.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I think yeah, most of that was customer service because either you're always interacting with the members there, but for the most part you're either answering questions at the desk, or if someone came in wanting to tour the place and then get information on what the memberships were like and pricing of all that nature. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of customer contact with that one.
And then at the marketing place, was there some sales that you got involved in?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I can give you an example of one. So when I first got there, the first, I guess, campaign I was involved in was like the gas station example I gave earlier. So I was given a list of different locations all throughout the United States to contact. And my job was to secure leases where the company would be able to go out there and place the advertisements on the gas pumps. So I'd call an owner, just explain to them I am calling from Oliver Media. Here's what we're doing. In order for us to use your space or your gas pumps, we're willing to compensate you. Is it okay if we do this? And if they say yes, then I would, okay, take down the confirmation, then enter it into a database where the team that actually goes out and does the installations are able to, say, okay, hey, we've already gotten the okay to put these advertisements at this location. So yeah, so my job was just to secure the lease in order for us to actually go out and do the actual work.
And then you did the two call centers, but I think your second call center with consumer banking, you got into regulations because you talked about the wires.
Right. So Wells Fargo Auto was more consumer. Yeah, it was
Okay.
more consumer banking. And my and international connections with Wells Fargo was my introduction to commercial banking. Well, it kind of worked both ways, really, because I did speak with both, your everyday consumer, um, and then there was also, business customers as well. Because if you're in commercial or consumer banking, you're still able to, you know, send or receive wires. It's just that as far as what the limits are for sending them, it's different, but altogether, like the information needed is the same. So someone might call on to know, like, hey, what's Wells Fargo information in order to get this kind of currency or receive or send it out for someone to give to their bank or whatnot.
So it would be fair to say what you would call as odd jobs, I would call it, was that a stepping stone?
Right. And at the time, excuse me, I didn't really see how each one was kind of preparing me for where I would eventually go. I mean, it didn't occur to me until I was actually in those positions where it's like, oh, I've, done this before, or I like know how to do this.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's that's a fair assessment to say that each one was a stepping stone, just like preparing me for those new opportunities.
And I think it goes back to our last episode about experience. Experience comes in many different forms. And like and again, school teaches you one thing, but the actual hands-on experience does something else. And so when you speak, when you like you built your resume, you could
Mhm.
speak to that because now that was in the past tense.
Right.
You could justify that. And so, and the reason why I asked if your internship was unpaid, I don't think people realize whether it's intern or volunteer, that's real experience, and sometimes that's a way to gain valuable skills to help you with your career pathing.
Right. And I think there's a common misconception that just because something like internship may not be paid, that it means your time or your efforts being wasted. I don't think that'd be a accurate way to look at it, because if you take my example, you're doing things that maybe right now you don't really see the benefit of doing, but once you get to a certain point, you can recall and look back on that experience that helped you get there. And it wa at the time I was the when I was before I had gone to Maryland, I had kind of talked it over with my sister, like what the expectations were, because I wasn't really gonna have. I mean, sure, I bought a few things here and there, but it's not like I had to like be self-sustaining. Because
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with her and my aunt for the majority of the time I was there. Uh, I mean, I had funds when I was leaving, but it wasn't to the point where it's like I was in jeopardy or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
financially.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. Now, like I'm the opposite. I didn't go to college after high school. I had some ideas that didn't work out, and then I just kind of I had a negative look at myself, like I wasn't college material, blah blah blah. So I end up working at a casino, but through that process, I was there 18 and a half years,
Hmm.
and I started working behind the tables, and then I slowly moved my way up into more higher level leadership roles. And where like first I was on the floor, I was like a pit boss for a while, then I moved up to assistant shift manager, then I got into like an operations manager position. And because that's experience and it's learning, and I had my fourth director, I had various directors through my time there. He saw something in me that I didn't see, and he would challenge me on things. And then I realized, well, maybe I do want to go to college. Maybe I will take that route. And my
Hmm.
college experience wasn't where like I needed a career. I already had a career. But it was more of a self-discovery. Like I like how you have cultural entrepreneurship. I did an individualized degree at Metro State University. It was on cultural and legal studies because I always
Right.
saw there was a connection there.
Yeah.
And so and then that led to other things. So that kind of led to, let's just say, my second round of career because I end up resigning from the casino. And sometime after that is when I went to Liberia and lived for 2 years. And then I really got involved in the nonprofit, or on the international side, it's called NGO, for non-governmental organization.
Hmm.
And that's where that kind of opened that door up. So now there's a global side. And what's interesting now, I'm also still, or I'm back into a banking environment like Calvin. I'm with one of the competitors. And however, it's tying in both the casino and the global side of me now because I am in global corporate trust. So like Kevin, I've dealt with a lot of international clientele.
Hmm.
So that takes where my NGO side opened that world up. And sometimes there is some similarity between a casino and the financial industry. I'm just and there and you've done with you understand the more of the money laundering side of it. That was very
Yeah.
much part of it in the casino. There's currency transaction reporting. So there were certain regulations we had to follow in the casino environment that definitely applies into financial industry. So,
Yeah.
and most people don't think you're going to transition from a casino to the financial industry, but it is a pathway that is there. So, so yeah, what knowledge you learn, whether it is through your college or through your work experience, because a lot of times you'll read on a job description, maybe a bachelor's degree or equivalent experience,
Yeah.
um, that shapes you, but you will take different paths along your journey. Like Kevin is where he's now. We'll see where he's in 20 years. He might have taken a pivot and found a new direction based on the more experience and exposure he has. And especially as we're in a very quickly paced, changing environment. Even in our
Right.
industry, it's constantly changing.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you because I think we might have talked about this yesterday, but so we had different, like slightly different, I guess, transition periods. So I went to the postgrad. I had graduated then, had just got into working. So what if you're someone that say you skip the post-secondary education, you just dive straight into the workforce per se. Um, how do you think that might be different, or what similarities there might still be?
You mean for today?
Oh yeah, for today, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's still possible. I think I mean, again, you gotta look at college as affordability issue.
Oh yeah.
And there's always opportunity to get your foot in the door. And it's really based on, well, we gotta, like you showed, you had perseverance, you kept going, you kept moving forward. So I think perseverance is very important. I think there has to be a level of confidence in yourself that regardless of the challenge, you can persevere. I work with colleagues that have never gone to college, but they've been advancing themselves in the banking
Mhm.
industry. I think some people are starting to rethink, is college degree just the only option? Is that the only indicator of competency and experience?
Right.
So I think, again, I think it's a learning journey. You have, like what you did, you learned something, it helped build your confidence, and it allowed you to take those next steps. If you're just in there doing the grind and not really like, what am I learning, or challenging yourself, then you might stunt or
Right.
delay your own growth, your own destination. You just might be stuck in the mud for a while,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing too, like you had mentioned earlier, like, well, just going back to not seeing the value in what you're doing. Like, if you're just doing something and to just do it and you're not really getting anything out of it, then you're kind of just wasting your time and, I guess the next person who's,
Mhm.
there with you. It's like, I think it's all about perceptive and how you look at something. Like, like Planet Fitness, honestly, most of that job was either being at the front desk or cleaning the equipment or, the facility and just like keeping it tidy. But in doing that, you're being able to build your problem solving and uh, communication skills and all that. So by the time I was able to get into a more professional or more corporate setting, those skills were already there. So it's just being able to put your best foot forward into what you're doing. At least in my opinion, that way you get the most out of it.
And that's what it is. I mean, we do play a mental game. We can play a mental game. Oh, I don't like this job. I hate this job. Why am I doing this job? Well, we have choices. We can either make the best of it, get something out of it, or find
Right.
something else. But when you just stay in that job and all you do is, just complain and complain and complain, your misery is probably going to be like, oh, I don't even want to work with that person because they're always complaining. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
just like, it's self-defeating. But it's like, it's really a choice. And so you have to really do that introspection of like, is this just me having an attitude, or is this something I just need to get out of?
Right.
But if you just stay stuck with something because you tell yourself you can't do something, then right away you're your worst enemy. You've already just stopped your progression.
Yeah, and sometimes I do admit that I need to check myself a little bit because I do start to think that way, but then I start to think to myself, I'm doing this to try and get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not wanting to just be stagnant or stay in the same place for a long time, but to actually, continue to learn these things in order to elevate um, to another stratosphere. So, yeah,
It,
I will say I'm guilty of that sometimes, but then again, it's all about being able to reorientate.
mhm. We're human, and that's why I said you always gotta like we're all gonna hit that negative path, but don't stay in it too long. Get out of
Right.
it, reset. But my question is, where you're working right now, do you have either what they'll call business resource groups or employee resource groups?
Yes,
Are
we
you a
do.
part of one? Are you on the taking any leadership in any of those yet?
So I've actually I think I started in January, so earlier this year, I've started there's a mentorship program at where I work. So they pair you up whether you're wanting to be a mentor or a mentee. They'll pair you up with another individual, and you have monthly conversations. Mine I try to do twice a week. So the guy that I've been fortunate to get connected with, we usually we schedule our discussions for about half an hour, but honestly, I feel like most times we go over the allotted 30 minutes. Like even we had our last one this gone Friday, and like in the top corner, I saw the 5 minute
Yeah,
notification
yeah.
there. I'm just like, wow, already? It's like it feels like it just like if you really try to get the most out of it, it's not going to feel like a slog. You're actually
Mhm.
going to be able to enjoy it and get something from it. And just being able to speak with the individual that I've been connected with, just being able to get their experiences and even share my own, we find commonalities and can help each other grow. So I will say that being just joining that mentorship program has been a real blessing to be a part of.
The reason why I was bringing that up is because depending on your workplace, sometimes there's other programs they have there that help you grow. Like he talked about a mentorship program, but there also can be these business resource groups, which could be um, like African or Black groups or Latino and Latina.
Oh yeah,
It can
diversity,
be,
DEI groups.
yeah, Asian, all those type of groups. And but it's not limited to, that particular group. It's just learning and
Yeah,
discovering about culture and stuff like that. We both have that culture in our degrees. And but they have like you can be on a board, you could be the chair of the board. So one of those transitions is that how do you get more involved in your workplace to get additional skills. Like when I got with the bank for a while there, I was helping with an internal website.
hmm
Um, I would do that, I think, monthly. I did that for a while. Sometimes they'll have like internal volunteer opportunities. I was able to work with a student one year, and she would read to me, and I would go, it would be an inner city for the city of St. Paul school. And I'm trying to remember if she's second or third grade. So they got to pick their book. And so I spent probably like 3 or 4 months doing that.
Okay.
And again, it's just another way of where you can do different things. And because when you're with kids and their stuff like that, it obviously teaches you patience. She was really a great kid, but just interacting with someone younger and at first you're a stranger, but then
Right.
you become someone they know that they're excited that they can read to because you're helping them build up their reading skills, things of that nature. So I think when we talk about transitions, what all if whatever your workplace is like, what else can you get involved in to get that learning experience, get your that exposure to maybe something maybe you're afraid of, get yourself in your uncomfortable zone because that's where you learn.
A
You
little
don't learn when
introverted.
you're comfortable.
Yeah. I, I don't know if they have a word for this classification, but like if you're like half extroverted or half introverted, it just kind of like depends on the situation. Because I would definitely put myself in that category because like it depends on the environment. Like I'll try to like put myself out there, but there's sometimes I'll just try to like kind of like hang back a little bit and kind of observe for a while. But there I have been to a few of the there's a Black and African American group at work that you mentioned. I've been making a conscious effort to try to be a bit more engaged with some of the events that they have. I think this year I've been to two of them because we get emails regarding these things that are coming up. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of fact of, putting it into my busy day to day. Just
Right.
taking a few minutes there to fit into the day to day. But yeah, it's a really good networking events. Just getting to know people like in different departments. Who knows? Like you might be passing by them each and every day, but you never really get the time to like sit and talk to them. So they're really great opportunities to to get to know new people. But I want to go back to my mentor that I got connected with. It was actually during our first introductory meeting or call. We actually found a combined interest in fantasy football. So
Oh,
we
good.
uh we we talked about we talk about that sometimes actually on Friday he had asked me about the NFL draft that occurred over the weekend, and so we talked about that for a little bit. I told him about my dynasty draft that I've got coming up this weekend, or actually it was started yesterday,
Okay.
but yeah. So you never know. You and the other person might have some similarities there if you're willing to put yourself out there.
And that's the key thing too. Like at work, like I'm not a coffee drinker, but I just call it I'll schedule like 30 minutes to do coffee, I'll do tea.
Mm,
Especially people in other departments, what we call at the bank sometimes business lines, but same concept for those of you used to departments. Um, because like if you like, Kevin's already shown he's in moved different groups. I did through my temp work. I did temp too. I did Kelly when I first got to the bank. So I had tax, I had mortgage, and I had the technical side, that what we call the TOS department. And but when you get into your position, you are still working with people in other departments, and it's good to get to know who they are, build those relationships. Um, One, it helps you in your current position because when you build those relationships, if there's problems or whatever need to be resolved, you already, you're there to take care of each other. But if you ever do want to do a lateral move somewhere down your career, they get to know who you are. They kind of know how you get things done. But like outside of work, setting up networking meetings is just as fruitful. And I
right.
do that as well because of running this organization. Building those relationships are a part of it. And I think that's a big part of transition. Like if you unfortunately you were to lose a job, having that network, building that network, expanding your circle of influences, it's called. Um, People get to know who you are and say, hey, I'm looking for something. In the US, I can't say for the rest of the world, 80% of the jobs are found through that networking.
Right. Yeah, like maybe if you had a coworker that had has gone to like another opportunity or something of that nature, and then through connecting with them you already have that rapport, and then they can in turn go back to their current place, like, oh hey, I know somebody that I've worked with before. I know the kind of person they are, kind of employee, and then they're able to put in a good word. But yeah, I can't tell you how through the years, like even I remember when I was with my second position within the bank. There was this individual who I would always whenever I reached out to the foreign exchange line department just to like for a customer who wanted to like know what the rates were for that day or what they were going for. They were the person I got most of the time that would help me out, so we kind of got familiar with each other. So it was kind of, it got to the point where it's like it was more like, hey, how's it going? You know, how's the weekend? What you been up to? Kind of thing before getting down to the business at hand. But yeah, just being able to build those connections both internally and externally, you
Mhm.
know, definitely does prove fruitful.
'Cause, yeah, we're all gonna go through transition periods in our life, and might be just as simple as that, okay, I'm gonna take my chance and apply for this new position wherever I am, and or it might be because something happened in the job market where you have to, find where you're gonna fit next, stuff like that. But it's knowing what your experience is and knowing who your network is.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I first started, you know, after everything, one of the actually a funny story. It was I think it was about a couple months ago. I was going with a couple of my current teammates to a diversity event for I, I don't want. I'm trying to see how I can phrase this appropriately. Um, I guess Asian Pacific, you know,
Islanders.
yeah, Islanders, you know,
Yeah.
employees. That diversity group was putting on an event, so a few of my coworkers wanted to go check it out. While there, I ran into one of the guys that was in my training group, like when I first got into banking, and I'm like,
Oh.
oh no way! It's like he's like, Kevin, is that you? I'm like, oh my gosh. Because it's like every now and then I'll like see past coworkers that I worked with back then. I'm like, dude, it's been
Uh-huh.
so long. It's like, and again, this is the guy that we were in the same training class, like when we came
Mm.
in. So it's like, you know, just great to see like how everyone's you know, been able to grow and you know, you still have that familiarity with everyone.
Yeah. No, that is great. Yeah, you never know when paths are going to cross again, right?
Right. Yeah, never know.
Oh, that's great.
But how about you? Have you ever had any of those moments where it's like you kind of run into an old colleague or someone you used to work with from
Oh,
a
every once in a while, I had someone just recently reach out to me on Messenger. Probably it's been a couple decades since I saw the person. We worked at the casino together because I left the casino in 2005. And there are times where I've showed up at an event and I'm like, wow. Oh, actually, when I did a retreat recently in my walking club, I met with Estella, who was at the same event I was that was speaking to your youth group. And so that's been over a decade ago since we
okay.
saw each other. And so every once in a while, yeah, you will bump into people in unexpected places. And it's like, how you doing? You're trying to catch up with their lives because
Right.
it could be a decade, 2 decades, depending. Yeah, yeah,
It's like where has the time gone?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, to this day, I still remember the name of my instructor, and that was doing our training. Because every now and then, I think on my service anniversary, I'll get like an email from them. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
little blast from the past.
right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
yeah,
It,
but
it,
yeah, sometimes I just have to like think like whenever my work anniversary comes up, I just kind of like think back to you know, that transition period from post grad to up until then. I'm like, oh, it's a it's been a journey, you know, still on it, but you know, come a come a long way.
but that's a strength to know where you came from because some people will act like they never went through that transition period. They just got right to the, you
Trust
know,
me.
it-
Trust me, well, I mean, personally, I don't know how you could forget such a time like that, but everyone's different, I guess. But
everyone's
yeah,
different. Well, some people say I was an instant millionaire, unless you were born that way, but
Right.
usually that's usually not the case. And then there was a
Um,
transition period. There was usually some mentor or something along the way that opened some doors, but I think some people are just rather, I think it's ego. I think part of it's ego, and I think if you have humility, you're going to remember these are the jobs I've done. I mean, when I was at the casino, I had side jobs. I did bartending as a side job. I was working with a guy who cleaned ceilings, so you get on
mhm.
step ladders and clean ceilings.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I cleaned houses besides babysitting. So, um, you know, I think sometimes you can like, well, now I'm in this office job. I would never stoop to those jobs. Well, those jobs were all experience. They all taught you something, and I'm never going to discount those jobs because at that time, again, it challenges you. And it gives you respect to people that are going to do those jobs later in life when you're no longer doing them.
Right. And I think it's like, but the grace of God and, like you said, mentors along the way. It's like just being able to think back and appreciate the journey to where you came from. It's, sometimes just good to, just reflect back on it. Especially like if you do make it big, it's like, it's not like it happened overnight. They're probably like long nights. Like it's kind of like when you graduate college and it's like when you're sitting in that auditorium or arena or wherever, and you're listening to the speeches and you like see all the people and your family in the stands. You just kind of think back to all those late nights, homework assignments, finals. It's like it's it's a grind. It's a grind sometime. Well, most of the time, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no book that said life was ever going to be easy. I mean, that's just a fact. But just going back to what I just said too, my third director at the casino, he made something that has always stayed with me is you respect everybody. Wherever you work, you respect everybody because he says that janitor could someday be the CEO. You
oh
know,
yeah, for sure.
you don't know anybody's pathway. So, and I mean, I make an effort to always be nice to the people that clean our bathrooms at work or
Oh
wherever,
yeah.
but you see people who don't, and I'm going to warn you. You make sure you're nice to everybody because you
Exactly.
never know. You could be burning a bridge by being like ignoring them or being rude to them. You want to respect people because that goes a long way in your career path.
Yeah, I mean, even like, saying good morning when you get to the office, or like when you're leaving, just like say like, hey, have a good night or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's one of the security guards at the desk downstairs that I've talked to a few times on occasion,
Hmm.
like when he's working. I was like, hey, dude, like, hey, what's up? I haven't seen you in a minute. It's like, I remember one time I'd cut my hair. I didn't have all this luscious goodness. I had actually cut my locks. It was a couple years ago. Yeah, a couple
Okay.
years ago. And then I showed up to the office and he's like, "Dang, dude, I almost didn't recognize you there for a second." It's like
I
the
love
last time
it.
I saw you, it's like your hair was all the way down here. I'm like, yeah, I mean, had
Ah,
had to I had to change it up a little bit, but I mean, I'm back.
I'm back. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, I miss my long hair.
Well, you can always grow it back.
Yeah, 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 true. I mean, I did keep the old hair though,
Okay.
just in case I want to reattach it for all those out there that will know what I'm talking about. Don't ever discard it, just in case you end up realizing that you made a mistake. Because last year, before October, when I started like, started this up again, I was like, there were times I was like, you know what? I miss my long hair. I wasn't bad. It was a good time.
Listen, it's always possible to have it back when you're ready or grow it out. Yep.
Yeah, but sometimes I guess sometimes you can't be too sure about it though. You can't always just assume because it does take some time
Right.
to get back to where you were, even like somewhere close. So Just
Patience
be
is the
careful.
virtue.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
Unless your hair grows back fast like me, but
Mhm.
you know.
No, that's true. But, be grateful that it's still growing and not going the other way, So, yes. All right. So, anything more on transitions?
Well, I think the last part, just, just being grateful, when you reflect back on it. And like you said, be kind to everyone, because you never know. Uh, they might just be the one to help you out in the future.
All right. So, I'll jump into announcements. So, we have a few things here. Last week, or I should say 2 weeks ago now, April 17th and 18th, we had some of our staff represent us at a census workshop. This was kind of a last minute workshop, so people had to be pulled. So on the academic side, we had two of our teachers, Christopher Cooper and Mohammed Kamakai, who you met yesterday, Kevin, at the
Hmm.
virtual tea time. And then for the TVET side, which is our vocational side, we had Emmanuel Dua and Godfrey Solomon represent that. They were going to get a form on last Tuesday, I believe. And so they're going to basically try to get some census data of our students. Um, just by showing up, again, it was last minute, it's going to ensure that we're going to be on the registry. And otherwise, if a school didn't show up, they wouldn't be on a registry. Also, last Friday on April 18th, Kelvin and I and Myrtle S Toe, she's the second in command, met with Roger Stanford and Mark Moulton of the Western Technical College.
Okay.
So we're working on developing the sister school relationship. And so the first step is really how can we do some peer-to-peer learning with their instructors and ours.
All right.
And so we're going to circle back sometime in May. Uh, they need to first connect with some people that they were brainstorming on, and then we'll do another meeting sometime in May. Then we had our second cohort, or no, excuse me, our eighth cohort, I can't write this down right, started on April 22nd. Kevin and I met some of them yesterday. Some of them are actually staff.
Okay.
One was her name was Odell. She graduated from us in 23 from catering. She's come back to learn computers.
Yeah.
Some are brand new. And then some of them are our academic students that are learning the vocational training. As we've talked about a few times, yes, we did hold our virtual tea time. I will have that posted here soon, and plus Kevin will get an email as well regarding who was all there. We did learn yesterday that one of our alumni did pass away, and I'm still trying to get all the details, so that'll be shared once I get that information. Also, there's the WIAC exam. It's for the Western African Exam Council. It's a national exam. So our ninth grade students will be taking the test on April 28th and 29th. Our sixth graders on 4:30 and 5:1. And they're bringing the third graders back. I think it's been a few years,
Okay.
maybe even post-war or whatever, or pre-war, I mean, that they had third graders. So that'll be on Friday. And so this is a national exam. We don't have 12th graders yet. We'll have 12th graders next year, but it's third, sixth, and ninth and 12th grade right now that takes this exam. And so the results will come out later. Our students have been doing pretty well on this. We do have a good high rate of passing. I think last year we only had one student fail the ninth grade. So we do have a strong passing rate. And the other
That's
thing we
good.
got going on right now is a stellar course sponsor. What that is our fundraiser, trying to get funding to make sure this eighth court has good materials to learn from.
Hmm.
We will put the link in and how you can support that. Also, if you want to do a fundraiser for us, if you want to hold a house party, you want to do something online, a peer-to-peer, definitely reach out to us. We definitely are open to many different ways that we can help support the cause, because vocational training is not cheap. You don't want people learning about electrician by reading in the book. You actually want them out
Hands-on
doing the
stuff.
work, learning how to make the connections, learning how to be safe in making those connections,
That's the important part.
all that good stuff. And so, regardless of the situation, it's learning skills. But I am finding out that we do have another electrician alum who has applied for an open scholarship in Canada. It wasn't US, it was Canada. He's in Sierra Leone right now because that's where the Canadian consulate is. And hopefully we'll get more details on that, but that'll be the third person that has found opportunities outside of Liberia to further their education. But he's looking at a degree in environmental science, and then he would move into a master's in electrical, whatever that is. So I don't have the exact title of that degree, but
Right.
that's what we got going on.
Oh, that's all exciting stuff. And
It is.
since you mentioned Sierra Leone, today is actually their 64th Independence Day.
Oh,
So,
I did some people posting that. Well,
so
happy
happy
Independence
Independence
Day.
Day to all Sierra Leoneans out
Yeah.
there. If you're listening to this, or if you're going to listen
Yes.
to this.
Yes. Yes, because Liberia and Sierra Leone do have not only being neighbors, but they did share some ethnic groups when everybody went around to try to divide up Africa. They couldn't divide up some of the ethnic groups. And so, yeah, there's a lot of shared history and culture and connection.
Yep. Yep. So big shout out to all our friends from Sierra Leone. Happy Independence
Yes.
Day to you all. But if you're looking to, I did mention the archives earlier in the show. So if you wanted to check out any of our other previous episodes, you can find them on the Uniting Distance Stars YouTube channel. We also announce when we're going to be posting our newest episodes on the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram platforms as well. And of course, you can always go to unitingdistancestars.org for more information on any news and upcoming things going on Uniting Distant Stars.
Correct. And what I'm going to do, instead of doing it the first of the month, I'm going to do it the first Saturday of the month, because I think we get better traction when we
Oh yeah.
uh, post these on a Saturday. So going forward, these podcasts will be aired on the first Saturday of the month. And Kevin and I will be diligently posting that it will be airing soon. And we also welcome your ideas for future episodes.
Yep.
It's really focused on youth globally. And even though Kevin and I are of varying age of youth, I'm on more of the high end of the youth age. we, we, uh, uh, I kind of at the senior citizen level side of the youth age, but some of us have the Peter Pan theory that we never grow up. So we definitely enjoy our conversations together, and we definitely are focused on our own experiences through our different generations to, how to guide people and from our own experience, because we believe you as a young person, you are the stars of tomorrow. You're going to lead the way for change and hopefully make this the best world ever.
Yep, the baton is being passed to you all. Well,
Yes.
I guess I can still say us technically, or
Yeah,
you,
you're
you,
still
you,
young.
you guys know,
You're
you
still
guys know what
young.
I'm saying. uh,
But there are people younger than you because you're millennial, right?
yes,
Yes. Because you got the Y's and you got the
I'm literally at the cutoff.
Oh, you're
96
at the
is
cutoff. Okay, so
96 is literally the
oh,
cutoff.
you're between the millennials and the what's the
Gen Z.
Zers?
I think it's
The
Gen Z.
Gen Z, and we have an alpha. I think the alpha is going to be starting in the workforce soon. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
there's
But literally the cutoff. 96 is literally the cutoff for being a millennial. I'm like, oh my gosh, I barely made it.
okay. Yeah, I'm not at the starting point, but like 2 years after the starting point of Gen Xer. So I'm on the high end of Gen Xer. So, and we're kind of like that sandwiched generation between two large ones, because the boomers and the millennials were much larger than us. So sometimes we're kind of like the forgotten generation because we get squished out.
All right. Time. What is it really?
What is it, right?
What
All
is
right.
time?
Well, thank you, everyone. We will see you next time for episode 8. Stay tuned. And again, give us your comments. Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good one, everyone.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.